Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this Thursday's MBE movie news. I should say this Thursday's, once again, late MBE movie news. I, of course, set this for 10 PM, and once again, I'm late, guys. But look, there's a good reason for it, I do assure you. I was walking my dog, who's snoring down there, incidentally. Can you hear him? But look, I digress. John Christopher Walsh here, back again for more movie news. Yes, I am giving you my full name. Lord knows why. Has Disney's Mulan really grossed over $200 million in the United States alone from Disney Plus? That is the question I'm going to be pondering on this next 5 to 10 minutes period of a headline topic. Has it really grossed that much money? Well, if you go over to the likes of Den of a Geek, yes, I've said Den of Geek, not Den, I said Den of the Geek instead of Den of Geek. Put a prefix in there just to prefix the geekiness of these chaps and chapettes. Let's not pigeonhole into males only. And as you can see, they've said that some industry whispers of Mulan's financial demise seem to be rather exaggerated. Only a handful of days after the film received negative headlines due to its weak opening in China, a new analytics report suggests the movie has been a bona fide hit on the streaming service Disney Plus in the United States. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because as you go down this article, yes, it's that bit there, as per Disney itself, its most recent earnings report to shareholders. Let's read that again. That was a shambles. As per Disney itself, during its most recent earnings report to shareholders, Disney Plus currently has more than 60 million global subscribers. If one estimates, and look, I'm actually getting ahead of myself, it was an analytics AI-powered algorithm which processed raw numbers, raw unstructured data sets, and reported that 29% of the subscriber base in the United States had purchased Disney's Mulan. And then they're then going in and saying that if you take this, and you perhaps just take it as a half number, 30 million subscribers, if you take half of the subscription base in the US, and then you apply that 29% purchase rate onto it, then that's what you then have. You have $200 million, $261 million grossing. And even if it's perhaps not as much as that, they're saying it could still have grossed over $209 million. So, as you can see already in a bit of a sugary peg, this theory. Because not for the life of me can I envisage a world where 29% of the entire subscription base in the United States alone have purchased. I can't envisage a world where they have all purchased, 29% of them have purchased this movie at a $29 purchase rate. You've seen the whinging and the moaning. Whinging means moaning in Scottish dialect, and incidentally, if you're not aware. You've seen it on social media. These people were moaning to high heavens about having to pay an extra fee to get this movie. Let's just completely ignore the fact that it was a $200 million plus movie meant for the theatrical experience. They were moaning about having to pay it. So I can't see for the life of me how as high a number as 29% have purchased this movie. Maybe worldwide, as a sort of homogenous subscription base worldwide in all of the territories available, where Disney Plus is available, I should say, that may be a more realistic figure. But in the United States alone, 29%, no chance. I can't see it. I'd like to think that it has been a success, as they're perhaps saying it is in this article, in this sort of raw processing analytics AI powered thing. I hope it is correct. I'd like to think it is, because it would vindicate Disney on that gamble that they took, releasing this in the majority of territories, regions, whatever you want to call it, on Disney Plus. That is an almighty gamble for the studio. They followed in the footsteps of Universal with obviously Trolls a World Tour, and it would be nice to see them vindicated. Even not that I have any horse in this race, for lack of a better analogy. I'm not some Disney shareholder. I don't have a say in their financial gains or losses, so I don't really care either way. But it's nice to see perhaps this risk paying off, because this is something that's going to have a huge consequence moving forward post-COVID. It's going to see more movies like this, better calibre of movies becoming available on home release. And look, as you've seen on social media, a whole lot of people want to see that happening. I want to see a balance being struck. I want to see good movies come to theatres if they're saved, and I'll get into that shortly too, and a good amount of movies being released on home release, because look, more and more people are having better home cinema setups and stuff like that. The other reason that strikes me as this being a possibility is the fact that, of course, Black Widow is currently being bandied about as perhaps being delayed again. And look, we spoke about that previously, how it's very, very unlikely indeed that movie, if it's delayed again, can come out this year. And it's extremely unlikely that it could come out next year as well, with such a stacked calendar year, some huge movies being delayed into 2021. A huge amount of Disney Marvel movies coming out in 2021 too, the likes of Eternals, all of the MCU Disney Plus content as well. If they have to delay this movie once again because of COVID stuff ticking back up, the only logical conclusion for me would be it going on to Disney Plus. And the only reason I could see them perhaps delaying it is with this information being available to them, that the success of Disney's Mulan has made it a real possibility for them to recoup the earnings of Black Widow 2. That may well indeed be why the rumours are starting to swirl about this movie being delayed. It may be that Mulan's a surprise success and they are now looking to recoup some of the money from Black Widow, come what may, via the Disney Plus streaming service as well. But look, all in all, I think it's fanciful that the US alone has recouped $200 million plus. I can't for the life of me see how that's even remotely a possibility. I can't envisage a planet or a universe or a galaxy, whatever one you want to use, where Tenet grosses less than Disney's Mulan. And Tenet obviously being the sort of champion of the theatre-going experience, it took a gamble as well. Obviously Warner Brothers, Christopher Nolan. By all accounts, it's failed for them. They are not making the money that they should have made. They are still making good money considering the situation, but it'd be a real slap in the face for them if Disney's Mulan, sort of painted by numbers animated remake, if it's made more money, that would be a slap in the face. Time will tell whether it's true. Perhaps Disney will be more transparent than Netflix and they will release some figures about exactly how well this movie is performed across all of the territories on Disney Plus. And perhaps they will indeed have been vindicated. Perhaps this AI algorithm will be vindicated with this $200 million box office grossing that it's sort of trumpeting to the world. Could be great news for Disney, but it's certainly not good news for the theatre-going experience and the exhibitors, the theatres, the chains themselves, because the release of more and more movies like this on a streaming platform, albeit at a premium charge for renting the movie, with that being a success for them, it's certainly a real existential threat to the theatres and the theatre-going experience too. And as you can see, I've put it up, movie theatres could be in real trouble. That is because there's been an array of articles popping up on just that very matter, and as you can see here, I've decided to go with MovieWeb. I've also got a variety one there too, but they're saying Tenet stumbles. Still up for debate whether it has stumbled. I mean, it's not earned the money it needed in the States, but the States isn't the end of the world. There is other countries, and it is earning over $200 million by all accounts in other countries. It's a marathon, not a sprint with that movie. Perhaps it will earn its money. But as they do say, and they are absolutely right, there you go. Movie theatres prepare for a harsh fall after Tenet fails to ignite the box office. And look, it's not perhaps stumbled, but I can definitely get on board with the MovieWeb headline. It has stumbled, or not stumbled, it has failed to ignite the box office. Because it hasn't, it's not earned the money that we'd expect. It's not been the saviour of theatres as we expected. Christopher Nolan hasn't been vindicated for releasing this movie in the midst of a pandemic. Not to the level of vindication that he would have wanted anyway, with it making huge profits, people flocking back to see the movie. And if a movie like that, an event movie that only comes out every 3-4 years, a guy like that who has the draw, usually the box office golden ticket, if he can't save it, then I tell you, man, they are absolutely screwed. They are one step in the grave already. Because, as I spoke about last night, with the potential delaying of Black Widow, with potential of only No Time to Die in November being the only movie between now and the Christmas period, that is a huge vacuum of no big blockbuster releases coming out for these theatre chains, the likes of AMC, Cinemark, Regal over in the States, the likes of View, Odeon, Cineworld over here in the United Kingdom. I don't know if these theatre companies can actually survive through to next year. If this indeed is the case, that the box office continues to stumble, and then added on top of that, no big blockbuster releases coming out between now and December, with Dune potentially and Wonder Woman 1984, West Side Story, and all of the other little movies that are coming out in that period. I think we've got Coming to America set to come out too. Could be a real issue for these theatres, that real existential question marks starting to pop up. And as you can see, I'm not entirely sure who this guy is. It's been saying this. It's the CEO of IMAX. I've just read it. Richard Gilfond. He says, and I do quote, where people feel safe, they are going to go to the movies. That's how it's playing out with Tenet. The international results in places like China are really good. In the US, people didn't come out in the same numbers. And that's why I says the world doesn't end after the United States, because China is doing pretty well in China. It's going toe-to-toe with a bigger local release. It's earned decent money over here as well in the United Kingdom, and by all accounts, it's been propped up by primarily the international grossings, and people are going to see the movies, albeit in reduced numbers, over here and in other international international territories, but they're not doing it in the US. And sadly, for movies like Tenet, the US makes up a very large proportion of box office grossings. It's the biggest movie market in the planet, essentially, not just Western. And look, he's continued on. And actually this is Brian Schultz, founder and CEO of Studio Movie Grill. He had this to say: it feels like distribution has kind of abandoned the movie theatres. I understand the core economics at play here, but without new product, we can't keep things going. Christopher Nolan put an amazing stake in the ground with Tenet, but now other studios need to follow his lead, and he's right, they do. If they want the existence of theatre chains to continue onwards into the future, and Lord knows it's a symbiotic relationship that's had real success for both sides of the coin, then they really do have to start thinking about what they want to do with releasing movies this year, because they need to help these companies out. Understand that the COVID situation is starting to get a little bit bad again. The infection rate's creeping up, albeit not the death rate. It's younger people getting it now, who probably are the ones more inclined to go to theatres. But even still, I understand that it's ticking back up, and obviously the theatre companies have a bit of a conundrum. They don't know what to do for the best. They don't know whether to release these movies out in the theatres in their original release slots. The likes of Wonder Woman already moved, but Black Widow and other releases coming up round about the next month or so, they've got a real conundrum. If you release it out, reduced figures, or reduced people going to see the movies, you are going to have reduced figures. You're not going to earn the money that you would have earned in a non-COVID world, and that's just facts. So they have to protect their bottom lines. They have to protect the integrity of the studios that they're obviously representing. And sadly, the byproduct of that would be the theatre companies being in real trouble, being in real peril. They could go out of business. They really could. It's no joke. If they can somehow find a sort of, not a conclusion, but maybe a collaboration in some sorts with these theatre chains or these studios, then we could see them ticking over to 2021, and then hopefully we have COVID getting wiped out via vaccines and just naturally just subsiding into nothing. We get herd immunity is the sort of term that's been bandied around. Then we could see them really rebounding back and earning huge amounts of money next year. It's going to be an absolutely stacked year in 2021 for movies, blockbuster movies, indie movies, whole array of different things, event movies as well. It's going to be very interesting times though, guys, to see whether they can survive through to 2021. I never envisaged at the beginning of this year, I knew it was going to be a ticking down on 2019 with big huge movies like Endgame and Rise of Skywalker and stuff like that coming out. I knew that it would go down the box office, but I never envisaged this pandemic happening and the theatre-going experience getting called into real question whether we could see it happening. It could see it going away, I should say. There's a real chance that even if they do survive, that it's not going to be the same ever again. We could see theatre chains going under, hybrid theatre chains with studios like Amazon popping up, and it could be a completely different environment this time next year. Hi, how you doing there? Awesome, Andy. May have commented about an hour ago or something like that. I know I've not even doing this show an hour, but I do apologise if I've missed your comment. You've actually disappeared off into the sunset, but I've seen it now, and hello. But look, guys, on that note, I'm going to move on to the third topic on the show tonight. It's all about The Matrix 4, another movie that I've just done to the death. I've done Mulan to the death. We've had about, I want to say at least a dozen shows headlined with a Mulan topic. And indeed, I've ran out of wallpaper to actually put up as a sort of thumbnail. I was toiling tonight badly. And this is another movie we have spoke about. We spoke the hind legs off it, if you like. The Matrix 4. There's been a lot of... Is it going to be a prequel? Is it going to be a quasi-sequel? Will it be set in the future, in the middle of the original trilogy, before it? There's been a lot of to and fro over what exactly Lana Wachowski has in store for this movie, has in store for Keanu Reeves, has in store for Carrie-Anne Moss, has in store for the Morpheus character. Of course, we're not getting Lawrence Fishburne coming back. There's been a lot of what the hell is going to happen with this movie. Well, it seems that it has been cleared up by not one source, but two sources. We have Keanu Reeves coming out and speaking about it, and we also have potentially the movie's villain, Neil Patrick Harris, coming out and speaking about this movie too. But I'll get into the actual star of the show, Keanu Reeves, first and foremost. And he has been saying, and I'll bring it up, see if I can find the quote. It's going to be set after Revolutions. That's the general gist of this topic. And I'm actually trying to find the man's quote, and yeah, it's a very short quote. So this is going to potentially be a very short topic unless I can keep it going for an inordinate amount of time. But look, there you go. He was asked, would this movie be set in the past? And he confirmed that no going in the past. And it's another version, a call to wake up, and it has some great action. All will be revealed. Well, you've revealed something already there, Keanu. You've revealed that it's not going to be set in the past. And I don't know what to make about that. It alarms me slightly, I have to say. I was kind of warming to the idea of this going back to the past, perhaps agents of the future, maybe interjecting with Neo and Trinity at some point in the midst of the original trilogy and telling them, look, you have to go back and change the events of time because this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And then we went back and we met a younger Morpheus, and it was, I think, Abdul Yatin, I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy that's got the double barrel name, he's a very good actor. But he was getting touted as playing a younger version of Morpheus, and I was quite warming to the idea of that. And this alarms me, that we could potentially begin back to a situation where it's yet again another quasi-sequel, another shit rehashing of the original story. Now, I know Lana Wachowski's come out and says she's had this story written for a decade, 2 decades, and it's just been willing itself into existence. She wants to get it off her chest and get it in to the actual theatres, get it on the big screen. But look, man, I'm concerned. I really am. I'm concerned that this is another rehash, and this is another potential Halloween, another The Predator. And they never work, these things. These concepts never work because you can never recapture the brilliance of the original story, certainly when it's a sort of cult classic hit like The Matrix was in '99. It was innovative with the camera techniques, the way they shot it. It was innovative in the way the story flowed. It was a nice little self-contained standalone movie. Then they had to expand it out into a shite trilogy. If you go and try to rehash that and do a reawakening, as Keanu says, another call to awake or whatever the hell it was he said, that sounds distinctly like another Matrix 1 being rebooted. Another story with a shiter array of cast. A shiter, more bland, beige story. And it alarms me greatly. But look, Neil Patrick Harris has also been speaking about it, man, so maybe he'll prop me up a little bit here and lift me out of my melancholy. He's been saying here, as you can hopefully see, I think she has a great inclusive energy, and her style has shifted visually from what she had done to what she's currently doing. Don't know what he means by that. I have to say, her style has shifted visually. The original Matrix in '99 was one of the most innovative visual movies out there in the last 30 years. There's been nothing that's really eclipsed some of the stuff that's happened in that. They've got bigger, more bombastic CGI effects now, and nothing really eclipses that sort of bullet time and the coolness of it. And that was just an array of 80 cameras capturing that. How can she be doing things better visually now, Neil, than what she was doing back then? So again, that alarms me. And he is kind of saying, once again, that they're changing things up, that it's not going back. So he's again hinting that things are shifting for the Matrix 4. I hope Neil's playing an agent. That's what I will say. He's got the forehead for it. And sort of sans Hugo Weaving, he's the next best step Bring him in, let him play an agent. If he's got to play Agent, what the hell's he called again? Agent Smith. If he's playing a recasted Agent Smith in a shite Matrix reboot, then hopefully he can give us something distinctly different to the performance and maybe perk me up a bit. Look, I'm being a Debbie Downer here, I understand. I'm saying it could be an absolute fail, it could be absolutely shit, and it's looking like they're hashing yet another cosy sequel out. But look, it could equally be better than the original. It's a possibility. However unlikely that is, there is a chance that it could, in some alternate universe, actually turn out for the better and be a better movie. But look, guys, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. And on that note, I'm going to move on. I'm going to try and find the right macro here. This could end in disaster, let me tell you. It's Tenet movie. There you go. Movie burner. Entertainment.org/blog. I'm moving on to the blog rundown, guys. It's that time of the day again where I go into, and I'll try and find the graphics here on the side. Again, the camera is just killing my line of vision. It's that moment where I go and I break down the last 3 movie reviews, which I didn't do yesterday, and discuss them, summarise them slightly, and encourage you, the viewer, if you are watching this, to go over to our blog and read, that's the word you're looking for, John, the array of distinctly different reviews that are on that blog. And there's some great ones, guys, including from myself. As I did say, I have no modesty at all, no humility. But look, that's not the correct one. Let's do it. There you go. That's better. The alignment is just better in that sort of little scene on Streamlabs. Look, as you can see, first one coming in, I'll go back up and let you see it, is VIVARIUM. This is starring the very good and talented Imogen Poots, and of course Jesse Eisenberg himself, Lex Luthor. Yes, Lex Luthor, isn't he? I'm pretty sure he is. I always get him mixed up with that other guy. But look, I digress. Here's a summary of this movie. I may read the last 2 paragraphs, but they're very lengthy. I think I'll just go with the bottom paragraph. As you can see there, this is coming from Peter Plumers, incidentally, the Belgian maestro, as I like to call him, because he's Belgian and he's an absolute maestro at writing movie reviews. I've had experience of it, and I can tell you it ain't easy. And he says, in summary of this movie, don't expect a conclusive explanation at the end of the movie. That's the best movies, isn't it? That's why I love Christopher Nolan. He gets the brain whirring, and he loves his ambiguous endings, and I like movies that make me think, and I like movies I've got a bit of ambiguity. Incidentally, we've got a comment here from Malcolm Randall. If Mulan made that much money streaming, could Marvel's Black Widow on stream be far behind? Well, that's what I did touch upon, Malcolm. I did suggest that could be one of the reasons why this is indeed true. I don't believe that it is true, incidentally. I believe there is a degree of falsehood in the statements coming out. It's an AI algorithm, by all accounts, which has come up with this 29% and $200 million grossing figure. But the one reason I could see it being true is that they may be releasing this as a precursor to Black Widow. Black Widow's rumoured to be delayed. I can't see a spot for this movie this year or next year. So the only logical conclusion is that movie's going onto the streaming service, and they have seen the raw numbers and they are very happy, and they want to release another big blockbuster movie onto streaming via premium purchase, of course. So yeah, I do agree. I don't think it's far away. I don't think they've grossed $200 million in the States alone. But certainly worldwide, there is a potential that over the various regions Disney Plus is in, that they could have indeed grossed $200 million, and it could be a precursor for Black Widow going on. But look, I digress. Back to VIVARIUM. Where was I? The final message was not really that clear to me. It is about the colourless and monotonous routine life. Is it, I should say, about the colourless and monotonous routine life that some of us lead? Is it an indictment of our modernist and materialistic society, or a satirical view of that society, or are aliens using humanity to breed their species in an infinite cycle? We'll not go down that route, Peter. That's very conspiratorial. We'll not go down that route. I'll lose an hour of my life actually talking about that potential subject. I think if I'm serious, but we'll not go there. That's a rabbit hole in the making. Like the cuckoo at the beginning, maybe I expected a little bit more. But in the end, I thought VIVARIUM was an intriguing movie with an exceptional setup. I'm going to try and bring up the actual the trailer here and make it as organic as possible. It's already unorganic. Where was I? It was an intriguing movie with an exceptional setup. Let's get that trailer up. There you go. And kind of unusual images, and yet some admirable acting. In particular, Imogen Poots left a lasting impression. However, I fear that not everyone will share the same opinion. This sounds like a very intriguing movie. I've seen the trailer. And it's very strange, these sort of very ordered neighbourhood that these guys are getting into. And you're right, as a man who likes the colour green myself, that's a very horrid green coloured sort of house setup that's going on there. I don't like the colour at all. Jesse Eisenberg's a great actor, man. Imogen Poots is a great actor too. I like the concept. I like the fact that you're suggesting it is filled to the brim with ambiguity. That's a great word, isn't it? Ambiguity. Ambiguity. I can never say that word. And I like the fact that it's getting you thinking. So this is one that intrigues me, man. But you're right, it perhaps strikes me as a movie which is not going to be for everyone. And that is absolutely fine, because not every movie is designed for everyone. Every man's got a different opinion. It's all subjective art, as it should be. One man's trash is another man's treasure. This was Peter's potential treasure, even just a little trinket. It may be my trash. I'll never know until I watch the movie though, guys. But look, moving on to the next review in this blog rundown segment, and it's not that one. No, it is that one. Sorry, I take it back. It is that one. Oh, there we go. We're losing it. Losing the plot here. The Hunt from 2020, the last movie, incidentally, that I seen before the COVID pandemic. Of course, I've seen Tenet twice now. But yeah, it was the last see that Roy Wilson comment? I share your sentiments, Roy. I don't think it's grossed $200 million. Not a chance. Certainly not in the United States alone. No chance in God's green earth, man. That's the way I would put it, incidentally, if I wasn't doing a show. But we try to keep things clean in here when we're in front of the camera. But yeah, this was the last movie, The Hunt, that I seen prior to the whole shutdown of COVID. And I agree with some of the points that Peter is saying in this review. It's a very strange movie, this one. And I too am absolutely baffled by the whole controversy that came out about this movie, why it was delayed ultimately. It was a year delay or something, 6 months at least anyway. And I was absolutely bamboozled by it. I know it has elements of violence. I knew there was mass shootings happening in the United States at that point. That caused a lot of consternation with the usual panty wetters over on the extreme liberal left. And I am someone who is centre left politically. But these guys are absolute loonballs, man. And they caused this movie to be shut down. And I can't for the life of me understand why. You're absolutely right, Peter, in what you says. You see it in that sort of first paragraph there. And it bamboozled me too. But wait, I also agree with what he says. This movie is, as you put it, it's almost like a porn film. For the reasons that you say, I'll use your sort of knowledge of porn films. Incidentally, Peter, I've not watched many of them. Perhaps you can share which ones mirror The Hunt. Violence with pornography, I don't know. But yeah, you says it's almost like a porn movie, and I understand what you're saying. Story-wise, not much really going on there. It's all about getting to the action, in a sense. Action-rich parts that kick in very quickly, and you're absolutely right. This movie doesn't hang around. And when it gets going, the action is absolutely frenetic. There's not much going on with the story. You're absolutely right in what you says at the end. It's a sort of satirical look at society and the rich and the poor and the way it's treating people, and this perpetual battle between the have-nots and the haves. And look, man, I agree with what he says about Betty Gilpin. She is perfectly cast in the role. I absolutely thought she looked like Phoebe Buffay too. There was something off about her. She was like a slightly deformed bride from Kill Bill. A strange character. And the ending did lack something for me. It almost looked like they were trying to copy that famous fight sequence from, I want to say Kill Bill 2, it was, where she fought with the mother, then the daughter came in. It's like they were ripping that off. It lacked something for me. But the movie itself I actually enjoyed. I know that you says it wasn't as impressive as you expected it to be or suspected it to be. But I'm assuming you got some enjoyment out of that action. It's absolutely impossible not to get some enjoyment out of the sort of the violence and the shooting and stuff like that. And Lord knows Betty Gilpin's character was absolutely brutal in this movie. I loved that moment she took down the goons to set up that finale with, God, who was it that played the overarching villain in this movie? I may have to check. Hilary Swank. So I liked that moment. Movie was okay. I seen it in the theatres. That's probably clouded my judgment. When you see these movies in the big screen, you're more willing to overlook some of their sort of shortfalls and whatever. I'm moving on, guys. I've not got much more to say. To Underwater. Missed the trailer out for The Hunt. Never put it up. Couldn't be arsed. More bothered than it's worth. Underwater from 2020. Once again, Peter Plowmers has reviewed this one. This stars Christian Stewart, with a short haircut again. She must have been prepping for her Charlie's Angels role because she had short peroxide blonde hair in that, of course. Not that I would know because I didn't watch it, but I've seen the trailer. Also stars T.J. Miller and Vincent Cassel. Don't know much about this movie. Peter has certainly won me over in convincing me to actually give it a bash because I like claustrophobic movies where it's certainly when it's set underwater, where you have that uneasiness that the walls are starting to cave in, and there's a sort of freneticism to try and get to a safe haven and get to it quickly. I don't know much about it, man, but look, I will give you the, albeit very lengthy, summary. I'll try and summarise the summary. Although you can admire a multitude of fantastic underwater footage, and making underwater images is no easy task, the fact that it all takes place underwater, hence, underwater, that sounded strange, the way I said that there. That's the chocolate protein brownie starting to get to my brain, the sugar's starting to wreck me. Hence the film title. As a disadvantage to the film, the images aren't really clear and most of the time blurred and hazy. That's not great at all. I like the claustrophobic thing that you won me over with, but the cinematography, large part of any movie, slightly disappointing. And yeah, he's praised Kristen Stewart, ultra short bleached haircut, didn't have a desired shock effect, and to be honest, it didn't help that she walked around half of the movie in her underwear. Well, I say he's praising her with sort of that faint praise. There you go, he says he'd prefer Scarlett Johansson, and wouldn't we all prefer Scarlett Johansson to be in a movie where half naked instead of Kristen Stewart, because let's be honest, a far superior physique and a far better looking person too. That's just completely undeniable for me. And yeah, look, I digress, man. Very intriguing review once again from the Belgian maestro. Very intriguing set of reviews, I should say, from him. And if you want to go over and read more reviews like that, and I know I've summarised them, but that's the whole idea. I don't want to give it all away. I want you to go and read some of the reviews, then you can do it. As you can see down there, I'll try and do it. It's mirrored this camera at movieburner.entertainment.org/blog. And yeah, I've brought Tenet up again. I can't get enough of Tenet. What can I say? But look, guys, that's going to round up the blog rundown for today. And I'm going to move on to the next topic, the penultimate topic on tonight's show. Incidentally, I always look sweaty as hell on this camera. And I have to stress, it's something with the lighting. I don't sweat like this. I'm not Prince Andrew, circa 2002. Not got a sweating issue, believe me. Bone dry. But look, I digress. As you can see, topic is all about the Batman. It has resumed filming in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Once again, it's not in Northern Ireland, but it's in the United Kingdom. And this is, of course, following one Robert Pattinson's positive test for COVID-19. The man had to go away and quarantine for at least 10 days anyway. But he's back now, he's beat it. Well done, Robert. I never doubted you for a moment. You're in far better shape than me and Stephen, and we both beat it. So, well done to that. First and foremost, well done, Robert, for beating COVID. And let's get back into business. And yeah, look, absolutely delighted by this news that this movie has resumed filming, although with the added caveat of rumours that came out that Warner Brothers weren't being completely honest when they says they had completely shut the set down. There was heavy rumours floating around that they were using the body double of Pattinson to film as many shots without him as is humanly possible to keep the movie moving along whilst he was quarantining. And now that he's back, they can also do the more close-up, intimate, actual acting shots featuring the man himself. So I say it's back, and it's great that it is back, though technically it may never have been away. Superficially they're saying it was away, but I don't believe them. But look, I'm delighted that Robert's back, and I'm delighted that we are getting the wheels back in motion, full force, if you'd like, with getting this movie shot and in the can, because I'm supremely excited about what Matt Reeves has got in store for this movie. I'm supremely excited about all of the casting choices. As I've said time and time again, that trailer absolutely whetted my anticipatory juices for this movie. Hell, even that Something in the Way Nirvana cover was brilliant. It added to the melancholy. I'm like, I don't know why I've got this article still up. I'm not using it at all. It added to that melancholy and just the general vibe, aesthetically, everything story-wise. It just felt like a distinctly different Batman movie to one that we have ever had before. And Lord knows we've had a wide array of shit ones and very good ones. So yeah, really excited to see this movie's back filming. I actually didn't realise it was taking place in the United Kingdom. I was aware that the studio had been busy building sets indoor within an actual studio, for lack of a better word. And it was primarily going to be shot in a controlled environment. It wasn't shooting on location anymore. So I was aware of that, but I wasn't aware it was taking place in the United Kingdom. So that's great. It's great to see that they're keeping it over here and it's helping our economy. We need it more than most with the buffoon that is Boris Johnson running my country at the moment, and the even bigger buffoon that is all of the other secretaries that are just putting their foot in it time and time again, completely incompetent. So yeah, glad to see the movie's back, man. I'm glad to see that Pattinson is back to his best, and looking forward to seeing more news coming out. Looking forward to seeing more behind the scenes images, hopefully from the set, some sneaky little shits, hopefully taking photographs, official ones, and looking forward already to the next trailer for this movie. But look, it was a short little topic. It was in the news. I was toiling for movie news tonight, I'm not going to lie, and I thought, let's just put it in, because we spoke about it before. Let's bookend it by saying the man's back and the wheels are back in motion. I'm going to round up the show by speaking about studios. I mentioned studios, and look, presumably it will be Pinewood that this is being shot at, an absolutely historic studio over here in the United Kingdom. It's paved the way for many, many great movies being brought into existence, and of course Star Wars being the biggest beneficiary of using Pinewood over the years. And this studio is, not only is it getting a major expansion, which we actually spoke about previously on a show, there's a whole new complex being built onto Pinewood, but it's also going to be getting a major visitor attraction built into it too. And this is something that really intrigues me quite a bit, because being from Scotland, I am quite a bit away from Pinewood, but it's only a short 45-minute plane ride down to England. And if they introduce an attraction, a visitor attraction, where you can go in and see the inner machinations of this studio and how they make these movies work, and that's something that I would definitely be interested in going to have a look at. I'd really like to be part of some experience of looking around at all the historical things, just like I'd love to get down and see a Studio 2 at Abbey Roads and things like that. This is history, man. And getting to experience it and look at it close up, that is something truly special. Not that is what they're suggesting this is. I don't actually know what the attraction will be. But it's great, man. It's great also, not only for my own personal, perhaps, benefit, that I could maybe go down along with other people and consume this experience. Well, I'm doing it again. Jesus Christ. But it's great in the sense that it could boost the UK economy. It could boost the UK film industry as well. And anything that creates new jobs over here, that creates opportunities for people to get into film over in the United Kingdom, it gives the opportunity for up-and-coming directors to perhaps, and filmmakers in general, to perhaps get a chance to use these facilities to hone their skills. That can only be a positive thing. We've had produced some of the best actors, some of the best directors in the history of Earth when it comes to movies and filmmakers and stuff like that. And if this is something that's going to be beneficial, then it's absolutely something that I am well and truly delighted about and on board for. But as you can see here, we've got a couple of quotes relating to this. We have the government and Buckinghamshire LEP recognising that Pinewood Studios is a major economic asset to be enhanced with the creation of a screen growth hub for the UK. And yeah, that's what it says. The UK, the industry as a whole, is going to benefit from this. They went on to say, we are pleased to be able to respond with this scheme. We have been looking at a visitor experience for some time, and we feel that now is the right moment to bring it forward. The project will strengthen UK film and bring much needed jobs and spending. We hope our planning application will receive widespread support. And look, I have no reason to doubt that it won't receive widespread support. Even in times like this, people have to be even more sympathetic to job losses, and anything that brings 3,500 jobs to the United Kingdom is a Brucey bonus. And yeah, just what it's going to do to the tourism industry, what it's going to do to the industry in general, the movie industry over here. Been seeing it more and more in recent years, even up here in Scotland, Glasgow, Edinburgh, the Highlands being used for big blockbuster releases, shooting on location. As recently as 5 months ago, the Batman was up here, 15-minute drive away from where I am just now, filming some stuff in the historic necropolis. And it's great to see these big action heroes, the likes of Dwayne Johnson was in Glasgow, I believe. I think he was for Hobbs and Shaw anyway. Brad Pitt's been here. It's great to see names of that calibre coming over here, mingling, bringing jobs here, boosting the economy. And this, even though it's not connected into Pinewood, that's just a self-contained actual studio down in England, can only further bolster the attraction for Hollywood to bringing movies like this over here instead of to places like Slovakia and Lord knows where else they go, America as well. So yeah, absolutely delighted about that news. And on that note, guys, that's going to round up the show for tonight because I ain't got much more to add. I am done speaking. You'll probably be glad to hear. And I'm going to pass over to you now and ask you what your thoughts are on the headline and the other array of topics I spoke about. Do you really believe the rumours flying around about Disney's Mulan that it has grossed over $200 million via this premium purchase through Disney Plus? Do you think that's something that is realistic? And do you think that will be a precursor to perhaps Black Widow going down the same route? You can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are about that down below. What do you make about the future of the theatre-going experience as we know it as well? With this potential news that it has grossed $200 million on the back of Trolls A World Tour, having a success on VOD, it could really signal an existential event for theatre companies and just exhibitors in general. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that's something that's going to have a real impact? Could it see the theatre-going experience ceasing to exist or perhaps being irrevocably changed moving forward? What's your thoughts on the Matrix 4 not going back to the past, but being set after Revolutions? Is that the right move? You can comment about the blog rundown. And finally, about Robert Pattinson coming back, the Batman still resuming filming, if I can speak, and Pinewood getting a major tourist attraction. If you've got anything to say about any of those topics, you can comment below, guys, and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to support the channel and see more movie news content, movie reaction content, movie review content moving forward in the future. And if you do, then you will see me back with Stephen from next week onwards, potentially. But until then, guys, bye-bye.